Hello, I'm Jenny Fern. Welcome to my library. I'm a chaotic neutral mechanical engineer who's really into permaculture and wants to talk about books. So let's talk about books. The month of March has come and gone. Today, as I'm filming, it is March 31st. Let's just say I did not have the best reading month of my life. I did not read a ton, but I did read a handful of things, so I will go through all of those here today and talk to you a little bit about the things that I'm still reading. I finished 6 things, and 3 of those are manga, so I really did not do well. But let's go through each one. The very first thing that I read in March was Orbital by Samantha Harvey. So Orbital won the 2024 Booker Prize. And I do not follow these literary prizes pretty much at all. The most exposure that I get to them is through watching Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. The reason why I had Orbital on my list is because of a recommendation from Carolyn Marie Reeds. And she spoke so highly of Orbital, and I thought this might be right up my alley. Because when I was a youth, I was so into space. I have changed a lot, but even when I was going to college, I studied mechanical engineering. I took a lot of aerospace classes, kind of for fun. The one that I took completely for fun was rocket propulsion, but I've also taken orbital mechanics, loved orbital mechanics, and I had been really interested in science fiction in that time as well. I have had dreams of being in like the ISS, orbiting around, being an astronaut. And that is what Orbital is about. Orbital follows these astronauts, cosmonauts, etc., who are floating in orbit around the Earth in a space station. It is basically set in our current world, except that there is also a manned mission to the moon at the same time. So something else has happened for that to be the case, but otherwise everything is fairly normal. And I guess the only other detail that's like plot adjacent is that there is a great storm. I think it's a typhoon, and they're kind of watching it as it progresses as they're orbiting around the Earth. So the story is incredibly simple and incredibly short, and it's really just this meditative thought experiment. The characters, to me, I didn't get in to them at all. It was so brief. I think you can tell I didn't connect a lot with this book. I read it through my library, and I don't think I will be picking up a copy of this book. I enjoyed the unique experience. I liked the vibe. I really liked the vibe, but I do think it was quite a bit short and basically nothing was happening. I think I recall somebody who talked about this book said like the one word to encapture this book was lists, and that's very accurate, but it didn't really bother me. I feel like the problem is that there just wasn't a ton for me to feel about it. And that's how I feel about it. Just not a ton of anything. I read Witch Hat Atelier Volume 12. I have been reading Witch Hat Atelier for the course of this YouTube channel, I believe. There is a gnat. My note to myself to remember what to say when reviewing Witch Hat Atelier is too much going on. It's very like battle heavy. There's this like dark magic happening, and it's very actiony. And I think particularly for me, if a manga starts to introduce like a lot of characters, I'm like, I don't care who these people are. I don't know these people. And that was kind of how I was feeling. It ended in a interesting way, I believe. I'm not enjoying my time with Witch Hat Atelier anymore, to be perfectly honest. Just having so much happening with so many different people, it's kind of lost what I enjoyed about it. I also read Mashle, Magic and Muscles Volume 4, and I did enjoy it, but I have watched so much beyond what I've read in the manga so far So I'm just kind of reliving what I had already watched in the anime. Not much to say about it, to be perfectly honest. I also read Painting Churches, and I have a full-blown reading vlog on this, so you can see my complete thoughts. I enjoyed my time with this quite a lot. This was a play. It was very short. We are just following this family. There's an elderly couple and their daughter who is a painter, and she wants to paint their portrait. They are packing up and moving out of their large, I think it's a New England home, and they're going to live in a more manageable cottage because they are certainly starting to show the signs of age, or I guess more deeply showing their signs of age. Something that was quite cool about this is it has a lot of poetry referenced, and so I did also read all of the poetry referenced in this work, which was 7 poems. So in addition to this work, I also read 7 poems. I recommend reading this if you can get your hands on it. I had a good time. Then I read The Symbiotic Planet. It took me a bit of time to read this, even though it's very short, and I also cover this in a reading vlog. I think the main thing was I just hadn't been reading during the working week. I have been putting a lot of myself into my work recently. I have been enjoying my work a lot more, and so there's just an element of me that's just gone by the end of the day because I'm putting so much of it into my work. This is a really wonderful piece of nonfiction written by Lynn Margulis. There's something going on in the kitchen. One moment. Oh, do you want to be on camera? Oh, I think they're gonna be shocked at how big you are. You're so big now. Here he is. Isn't it crazy that he was a little kitten when I got him? Because look at how big he is now. Lynn Margulis was a biologist, and this book is about, I think it has 6 chapters, and they cover different kind of spans, but all about symbiosis. So, it's 8 chapters. Symbiosis everywhere, against orthodoxy, individuality by incorporation, the name of the vine, life from scum, sex legacy, ashore, and Gaia. And I really, really enjoyed my time with this book. I have just been thinking so much about this, like, life soup. How interesting it is that life did the things that it did so far. And thinking about what life could be doing in the future. It's so fun to think about. Shockingly enough for me, since I'm not a big poetry reader, every chapter starts with an epigraph, which is either a complete or partial Emily Dickinson poem. So I did also end up reading a bunch of Emily Dickinson poems for this. I read the 8 at the beginning of each chapter, plus 1 at the beginning of the prologue. I think he wants to go outside, but it's raining. So yes, I also have a reading vlog all about The Symbiotic Planet. I actually really highly recommend reading this book. I thought it was great, especially if you're interested in science. What the hell, bud? What are we doing? Let me put this duck here so that you stop. Just recently, in the last couple days, I finished reading Girls Last Tour, which is a manga that is in 6 volumes. So I read volume 6. I loved Girls Last Tour. I highly recommend it. If you think that we align in our reading tastes, especially in some of like the comfort in the melancholic, perhaps. Like, I feel like there was something similar in vibe about like the death of Ivan Ilyich or Family Happiness, like that Tolstoy writing that I've enjoyed. I don't know what it is exactly, but maybe you would enjoy Girls Last Tour. Also, perhaps if you enjoyed The Girl from the Other Side, another manga, you would enjoy Girls Last Tour. Girls Last Tour is set in this post-apocalyptic world. There are these levels to a tiered city that is largely abandoned. There are very few people or living things around. And these girls that we're following are trying to get to the top. One is a lot more cautious. She is more thoughtful in like a slow, retrospective kind of way. And there's another girl who is very impulsive and happy-go-lucky. And they are paired up together with this like vehicle that they use to travel their world in. And they come across all sorts of different sights as they're traveling. And it's very melancholic, but it has these elements of like poignancy about what it means to be alive and what living is. So I have a line to read. Making maps, building planes, the machines trying to maintain this city, us aiming for the top of it. People deciding to build a city this big. You mean it's all for the same goal? No, it isn't even a goal. Even when you know it's going to end one day, you can't not do something. And I feel this a lot. This is a very comforting thought to me about like the point of life when I get caught up in these thoughts about like, what am I doing with my time, whatever, like freaking out about just kind of being trapped in this society and spending my time doing things that I wouldn't necessarily want to be doing because that's the way things are. I think about this, that ultimately we're just kind of passing the time. We're doing things to get through the day. It's all we're all doing. That's how I feel about life. And if you feel differently, you know, that's okay. So I loved Girls Last Tour. I thought it was really wonderful. And then I have a few things that I'm also reading. You can notice so far I haven't talked about any short fiction. I haven't made any progress in the short story collections that I'd been reading previously, which is really just me not reading before I went to bed on the weeknights. I've been so dead tired that I've just been falling asleep, which is really rare for me. But I did read one short story in this collection, Florilegium, which I'd picked up at a thrift store recently. So I read the first story in this, which is called Afterclap. And so I did read one short story. I read quite a handful of poems and one short story. I did not read any short stories from literary journals. I had plans. They didn't happen. And then the books that I've been reading this whole time, I've been reading. I am currently reading To Say Nothing of the Dog, and I could finish this today if I set my mind to it. This is quite a long book, and I'm enjoying my time, but I'm not enjoying it as much as I had with the previous Connie Willis book that I'd read, which was Doomsday Book. This is set in a time period that I'm less interested in. This is set in the Victorian period and a little bit in 1940s, but mostly in the Victorian period. We're following this man. He is working with this time-traveling bureau, and he is trying to locate the bishop's bird stump, which I don't even really understand what it is, but it is for this reenactment or recreation of this building that was lost and or destroyed. And he's working for this woman who really wants to put it back together and reopen it. And so she wants this bishop's bird stump. But during this time of his, they have noticed these incongruities and strange occurrences with how how time is working and how things that are not expected are happening, and there's a lot of concern that they have messed up the timeline. Some critical piece that needed to happen hasn't happened. And he's also there with this woman who is maybe partially responsible for this incongruity, and they're trying to resolve it together. That's pretty much it. Plot-wise, it's very long. A lot is happening. But the thing that I really wanted to mention about this book is this has an absolute ton of references to Agatha Christie and other mystery writers. So it's like so fully outside of my comfort zone, like Victorian, and then all of these mystery writers like Poirot and Marple are very much referred to in this book. So now, I think you'll be happy to know, I understand the references to some small degree. And I have also seen other writers in here that have also been recommended to me after I did that one video where I got all those comments about Agatha Christie. So anyway, I thought maybe you would be happy to hear that. And also, if you're interested in that, you might be interested in this book, because this is definitely like an homage in a very roundabout, strange way to that writing. I'm feeling a little slumpy with this. Treat it with caution, I would say, because I think this has made me a little bit slumpy. I've also been reading An Evening of Garden Mists. What is it called? I had to check it out for my library twice because I've been taking so long. The Garden of Evening Mists. I have been reading. I am so slow. Oh my god, I don't know how long this book is, but I feel like it's been taking me forever. But I'm really enjoying the writing. I'm just barely into it. And I'm worried about my ability to finish this book. I might have to buy it because I can't check it out that many times. I'll feel guilty about it. I'm really enjoying my time. It's by Tan Tuan Eng. It is about Malaysia, and so interesting, the topics, and I'm feeling very like in the moment when I'm reading it. I've just been finding it very slow going. And then the other thing that I've been reading that has actually been pulling me out of the bit of a slump that I've been in, I've been reading The Apothecary Diaries, the light novel, because something has happened to my brain where I'm just now like so obsessed with The Apothecary Diaries. I've been having to wait each week to watch the anime, and it's just killing me inside each week that I don't have like another episode to watch. So I started reading the light novel so that I would get like a little bit of a fix. And I'm 61% through the first volume. This is my first time ever reading a light novel, and I didn't really know what to expect. But it's kind of like written in like a summary kind of way. So it doesn't have very much detail, it's not very descriptive, and it's just kind of like, this happened, now this is happening. Reading it, it's really just like a plot summary of what's happening. I've been loving it. I've been loving it. I really enjoyed it. So I guess I should talk about what it's about. The series is set in an alternate reality of the Tang Dynasty. And we're following this character, Mao Mao, who has been trained to be an apothecary since a very young age. And she has like a ton of knowledge about like being an apothecary. But she's basically been stolen. She's been kidnapped and sold to the palace. And she initially starts as this, like a laundry servant. And then she ultimately reveals herself to be very skilled and knowledgeable. And there is this very, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze, and also what I'm about to say is ridiculous. There's a very beautiful eunuch who has taken her like under his wing and is like, this lady is super useful. We gotta get her like doing more things. So she starts working as a lady-in-waiting and a poison tester for one of the top 4 concubines in the palace. She has a very relatable personality to me. She is very prickly, and she's like obsessed with her work as an apothecary. She has so much joy and passion for what she's doing there. And all of this like all of these like ladies in waiting and all of this like stuff that she has to navigate at the palace is like an interesting challenge for her, because she can't just be like locked away making like potions. And it's just really fun to read about. And I love the characters. I really love the characters. I think I would find it challenging to love the characters so much if I hadn't watched the anime first. I might finish that today as well because I'm flying through it. I'm gonna get along with the rest of my day now. I hope you enjoyed this. Those are all of the things that I read this month. Hopefully you had a better reading month than me. I had a good time, but I just didn't read that much. If you enjoyed this, please consider sharing it with a friend who you think would also enjoy it. Consider liking and subscribing, and I will be back again soon.